Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Later on this episode than I was aiming for, but I think I can get another one out tonight. For now, we've got some mayoral policy, some UBI, and some treason. Variety is the spice of life. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Peter Park, Shay Meehan, and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. Remember General and former National Security Advisor to Trump, Michael Flynn? The guy who was pardoned by Trump for treasonous acts so that Flynn wouldn't flip on him in court? That lovely fella? Well, yesterday, Flynn agreed with a right-wing crowd that a military overthrow of American democracy would be just dandy. Specifically, someone in the crowd asked why a Myanmar-type coup could not be done in the U.S., and Flynn responded, quote, "No reason it couldn't. It should," end quote, followed by enthusiastic cheers from the crowd. This call for high treason, for overthrowing a democratically elected government by force because you don't like who got elected, for literally the most anti-American act possible, occurred at, I kid you not, a God and Country Patriots conference on Memorial Day, achieving levels of irony heretofore unseen and proving that a lack of cognition makes one immune to cognitive dissonance. This is where we are as a country. This is what the GOP has become and is increasingly embracing. While I don't expect it would come from the military, an overthrow of democracy is a sincere threat in America. It has been gaining steam for decades, was supercharged by Trump, and becomes more likely every day that we fail to reform democracy and the economy to work for common Americans. Do not make the age-old mistake of telling yourself it can't happen here. In happier news, Flynn may face court-martial for this, and many in the military are calling for just that. Across the Pacific, among a number of other policy changes, China just further relaxed their child limit, now allowing couples to have up to 3 kids. A recent census showed the Chinese median age rapidly rising. For almost 40 years, China enforced a controversial one-child policy, which had very nasty, unanticipated consequences for female children as males were preferred, resulting in females being discarded and underappreciated in various ways, some of which were quite monstrous. That limit was raised to 2 children in just 2016 due to concerns of an aging workforce and economic stagnation. It appears they're now playing a game of catch-up. It should come as a relief to many families and humanitarian activists. Skipping back over to New York, let's talk New York Health Act. I had not looked into this until I saw Matt's thread about Yang supporting it and Garcia not. NYHA is single-payer health insurance for everyone in New York State, covering all health procedures, with the only cost being new taxes. It uses no networks, essentially outlaws private insurance, and is designed to lower overall cost and improve quality. Basically, it's Bernie's Medicare for All, but just for New York State. Andrew supporting this is a slight departure from his presidential agenda in that his own policy did not outlaw private insurance. He supported a public option that would essentially be this, but allow people to go with private insurance if they so choose. Same way that our public education system works. I would guess that he's supporting NYHA because it's the best ready-to-go bill with enough support to actually happen, and he considers banning private insurance to be a lesser evil than doing nothing, which I would agree with. For the progressives out there saying that Yang is too conservative to deserve their vote, this is just one of many examples of how that is untrue. He supports single-payer, UBI, the People's Bank, taxing vacant lots, decriminalizing sex work and drugs, appointing a civilian police commissioner, and many other progressive policies that Garcia and Adams, the other top contenders at the moment, do not. There's a handy graphic for all of that in the links. Yang also recently received important endorsements from Asian American New York State Senator John Liu and from the very prominent Williamsburg Orthodox Jewish community, which had in previous races endorsed Adams. Finally, the University of Manchester Students' Union Senate passed a policy motion in support of UBI with 83% support and only 7% against. The motion calls for the union to promote UBI at a national level among students and push the university to support UBI research. Next generation leading the way. If you're a student, find out what you can do to get your own student body to declare support for UBI. If you know a student, encourage them to do the same. Let's see to it that UBI becomes the #1 issue in everyone's mind. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share Flynn's call for treason, the mayoral policy comparisons, and the student union endorsement. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the Resist bot or Income Movement easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.